Uh-oh. Oh, God, you guys. It's the Clark the Shark Show. You've stumbled upon it, and it could get a little sticky here tonight. Definitely controversial or uncomfortably incredible here on the Sharky Show with Clark the Shark, one of the most incredulous. There's that word again, you guys. Is incredulous even a word? I don't even know what the fuck it means, you guys, or even if it is a word. But I know Clark the Shark is one of the most incredulous, incredible, fascinating DJ, MC, microphone, talk radio guys ever to be number one on Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus. I didn't say that other word, you guys. I said Venus. Let's keep it clean. Neptune, Mercury, like where it's really hot. And Pluto, you guys, I always leave that one out. But Clark the Shark is number one worldwide also, especially on Uranus. And tonight, you guys, I'm going to review, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums ever recorded. I'm not even kidding. You guys think I'm joking or something. Now, let's set the stage. Let's frame the picture here. 1991, the record labels started signing alternative bands, of all things, to record deals. The labels, you know, Capitol, EMI, and Sony, or Tommy Mottola's label, BMG, MCA, you know, the major labels, RCA, the ones that used to sign David Bowie and the Kinks and Harry Nilsson. Well, they're suddenly just signing any fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry band out of Minnesota, Seattle, or, you know, Chicago, Detroit, or, you know, wherever, as long as it's indie, alternative. And I would say by 1992 and 93, they were not signing heavy metal bands anymore at all. And if you were in the metal scene in the 1980s in Los Angeles, down on the Sunset Strip, you know, of course, you could become a millionaire or something literally overnight with the stroke of a pen and a hit song or two in the heavy metal scene. But that all died when this one band from Seattle got onto MTV one day, about 1991, late 91, September, October, late in the year, you guys. And me, Clark the Shark, I was for the longest time trying to be that one guy in that one band playing alternative, you know, with God as my witness in the South Bay, you know, Torrance, Redondo, and all them as my co-witnesses. They saw it all, you guys. And not only was I trying to make it, but I like fucking invented everything, you guys. And I'm not even joking. Because I only steal from the best myself, you guys. There was a band in the South Bay called A Noise Agency, you know, a three-piece band playing indie alternative. And, you know, Clark the Shark took notice of them about 1985, and others, you know, the Minutemen, Black Flag, and all those punk bands before. And, you know, by 1988, 89, that punk scene had really died out, and heavy metal had sort of had not just a major resurgence, but, you know, it Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Poison, and all that were just ruling the scene, you guys. Not just in LA, Los Angeles on the Sunset Strip, but everywhere, all over the country. Until this one three-piece band, I'm not even going to say their name, they came along on a major label. Don't ask me how these guys got signed. They must have been really good or something, but they got onto Geffen, now known as, I guess, UMG, MCA, part of that system. All the big four record labels have all kind of condensed, and now it's like there's only the big two or something, like they've all merged. Anyway, long story short, the whole 1990s decade was alternative indie, whatever you want to call it, punk rock, and all these other bands. That one guy in that band, he died, he killed himself. And then all this stuff like Green Day and Weezer and Blink-182 and The Offspring and Pearl Jam, and just all this stuff started taking over the radio. One would think that's Clark the Shark's dream come true, right? Well, you would be right, except for that big party did not invite Clark the Shark, yours truly, to their party, as normally happens with Clark the Shark, even in the South Bay or wherever, where any party is concerned. I'm usually the last person to get invited, you guys, but that's okay, I have you all here at the Clark the Shark show now to watch and learn and understand. And anyway, as the 1990s progressed, the alternative rock began to die out. About 1997, 98, 99, things started to get into trouble. And then you saw like this new scene kind of emerging with rap and hip hop mixing with rock. And you had like Limp Bizkit and Rage Against the Machine and, and then later on stuff like Eminem. I mean, some people call it art, or some people say it's good. They're like Clark the Shark. These are angry people just like you pouring their hearts out. And, I don't know, you guys. I'm not going to judge it or not judge it. I'm just going to kind of sit here like, well, why doesn't someone take the time to sign Clark the Shark or something, or give me a chance, but I'm sure there's millions of other people out there like me, Clark the Shark, saying the same thing. I'm probably wrong, though. There probably isn't someone that talented who, not only writes the songs, sings the songs, overdubs all the songs, produces them, plays the drums, the guitar, and all that stuff that Clark the Shark did. I doubt there's anyone quite like Clark the Shark. I'm sure maybe there are, dude. There's prodigies and geniuses all over. But once again, long story short, by the late 1990s, I had really grown into just miserable futility where I was like, if somebody even mentioned music about 1998, 99, I would literally just throw a can at them or something, like, get out of my face, And then comes the new decade, 9/11, 2001, we get attacked. And, turn of the century, Blink-182, stuff like that. And suddenly in 2003, one day I was just watching MTV or something, and I discovered a heavy metal band with a debut album, Permission to Land. And I remember I was completely confused, you guys, in 2003, because I was like, I thought this fucking music was dead, like gone. Some record label took the chance or the time to sign The Darkness over in England. And it was really like phenomenally stunning to see a heavy metal band getting really big, not just at MTV, but everywhere on the radio. And these guys came over to America and they were playing shows here. I mean, you guys, it was quite fascinating and very interesting. And I was rooting for them. I'm like, good, fuck all that alternative shit. I'm glad this lame heavy metal band, The Darkness, this crappy fucking band, is on the scene. And then when I really checked them out, I'm all, you know what? They're not half bad. And I, bought the album and was like, dude, this is legit metal or something. Like, these guys are really good, and plus they're funny and silly. They got a sense of irony and definitely a great sense of humor. And they even had kind of an alternative indie edge, it was weird. And, me and that guy, Metal Jimmy Pitts, we both got way into that album, Permission to Land, the debut album. And I think what set this all up was Bruce Dickinson came back to Iron Maiden in 2000 after 8 years of being away. And Iron Maiden toured America, and I went and saw it. And I remember me and Metal Jimmy were like, dude, metal could come back. But, 3 years went by. We didn't see any metal. And then all of a sudden, we saw this. And we were like, dude, there's hope for that cheesy, fucking lame scene to come back. A scene which I, Clark the Shark, did not like in the 80s. But now I had to root for to get rid of alternative. And, I was hoping there would be a whole bunch of metal bands pop out in 2003, and there were, there's bands like Airborne and Dragon Force and others, that came along. But I don't think anything really hit like The Darkness, you guys. That was the first metal to come along in a very long time, about 12 years. When that Seattle band hit the scene in 1991 and 1992, and then all those other coattails riding alternative bands kind of took over the scene, really. The one guy died, he killed himself, and then all these bands just ruled the 90s. And I began to re-examine heavy metal and start to say, maybe heavy metal is my friend and not alternative, because I don't see any of these people lifting a finger to help Clark the Shark. And so I began to root for heavy metal and hope it would come back. And sure enough, when The Darkness kind of hit, it made bands like Motley Crue and Poison and all those late 80s metal bands have confidence again that they could play tours and make money. And every metal band really attempted a comeback, I think, because of and after The Darkness. Permission to Land, 2003. But you know what, you guys? I'm not even talking about that album. I'm talking about this second album they did in 2005, released in November, and I remember it well. Of course, 2005 is the same year that the Rolling Stones put out A Smaller Wang. You guys all know that piece of shit album. And 2005 was a really shitty time for music, and in their video, The Darkness try to emphasize that, like, we're the saviors of rock. And for quite some time, me and many others thought and believed The Darkness were some kind of saviors or something. I really didn't believe that, but I thought maybe if something like this could get signed, maybe there's hope for something lame and awful like Clark the Shark too, And I really kind of made my musical comeback. Well, it was before The Darkness, you guys, but when they came along in 2003, it gave me confidence, just like it probably gave Vince Neil and Tommy Lee and Mick Mars confidence too. And even though I'm not really heavy metal or hard rock like that, per se, for people that are getting pissed off and angry at alternative, The Darkness and Justin Hawkins, and Frankie, the whole band, these guys were that thing, that lightning bolt that came and gave all us rockers hope. But what we didn't know at the time is it really wasn't Permission to Land that was doing it. It would be this second album, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back, an album that failed in 2005. It really didn't burn up the Billboard charts, especially in America. And I remember I was confused because I bought this album. I listened to the whole thing and I thought it was incredible, you guys. Now, I will admit, it doesn't have super catchy, hit songs. But that's irrelevant and misses the point, you guys. It has good, solid music all over it, this album does, of heavy, hard rocking, metal, but also it's almost like progressive, cheesy, like, I don't know, like Rush or something. They really surprised me, Clark the Shark, with this amazing second album, you guys, that upstaged the debut. And for people like me that really know the 70s and 80s or, 60s, I listened to this album and I said, the quality in this second Darkness album just blows away their first one. Even if their first one was maybe more catchy or more for the radio, there was something very intimate and deep about this second album by the Darkness, which is really like 8 tracks or something in the 70s. It's not really pop 70s, 80s and the top of the charts. It's like deeper tracks here, you guys, more important music. And maybe it was a mistake at the time for the band to do that. Who knows, you guys. But in history, a lot of people are coming forward now and re-examining this album, and they too are saying, like me, Clark the Shark, that One Way Ticket to Hell and Back, 2005, really could have been that album that brought back hard rock and metal, and maybe even 70s, quality listening music, like me, Clark the Shark, and GE, The Greenhouse Effect, because I really hear that in the Darkness, you guys, particularly this second album. Now, it was produced by Roy Thomas Baker of Queen fame, and it does have like a Queen or ELO feel or something, you guys, this album. It's nothing like their first album. It's really awesome and incredible. And at the time, I thought, this is one of the most incredible albums I've ever heard. And it's even more awesome considering the day and age, 2005, November 2005. Very late in the year when it was released, right in the middle of a time when music was very bad. I mean, a low point in the history of rock, you guys, was the OO's decade, even lower than the 90s, which were terrible. But this album right here, you guys, is such a misfit. It does not fit in with the OO's decade, and yet in some weird twisted way, it rules that decade, you guys, and nobody even knows it. For you could sit in the bathtub, a hot bath or a jacuzzi, and listen to this whole album and love it, you guys, like I did Clark the Shark right here on the fabulous, amazing Clark the Shark Show from the golden EIB Sharkerphone. It's not a microphone. It was given to me by Dick Clark, you guys, because he's Dick Clark. And I'm a fucking dick. I'm Clark the Shark. So Dick Clark means a lot to me. And when he came to my house in Redondo Beach and gave me the golden EIB Sharkerphone, not a microphone, he said, one day you will review The Darkness, Clark the Shark. And I was only 8 years old in 1973. And I was like, I don't even know who The Darkness are, Dick Clark. And he's all, don't worry about it. It's a very important band and a very important thing in history, and you will be there to live it and experience it, Clark the Shark. And I don't care what the stars say. It might even get bad reviews. I don't know. It gets a 3 from AllMusic. That's not fair. But there are some people here giving it a great review, like Alternative Press gave it a 5. And that's kind of like me, Clark the Shark. Rolling Stone just gave it a 3, you guys. So, perhaps there were people back in the day, 2005, who this album went right over their head. This album was really under the radar, you guys. And it was a commercial flop. It was a failure, which to me, Clark the Shark, makes it even better and way more of a classic, because it lets you know that the people were even stupid and they missed out on this incredible album. And many people never bought it, never heard it. Who knows? Maybe they did and we don't know the truth. But what I do know is this album did not have a huge impact on the pop scene or the Billboard charts, but it certainly did with yours truly, Clark the Shark, your humble servant here at the microphone, you guys, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. I fucking loved this album, and I loved their first one in different ways. They were like apples to oranges, completely different from each other. And, I'm going to review it like a CD, not side one and side two. I'm sure this does exist on vinyl, you guys. I bought it as a CD. The opening song, number one, One Way Ticket, could have and should have been a hit song, you guys. Maybe it's a little too long at 4:26, and then the subject matter, where they're talking about cocaine so intimately. And at the time, the coke was wrecking Justin Hawkins' life. He literally had to get out of the band or die. You know how coke is, dude. It just takes you over and wrecks your life. But One Way Ticket, what a great song, you guys. Awesome. Should have been all over the radio. And who knows, maybe the Darkness just didn't have the payola money, to promote it. I don't know, you guys. Or maybe the radio just wasn't playing it and refused and didn't want heavy metal to come back, as the contemporary radios in the day were promoting the Foo Fighters and all that other shit that it wants to promote more than the fabulous Darkness, who really do deserve the promotion more. And track number 2, Knockers, kind of a little throwaway filler song, but me, Clark the Shark, I really like it. Now, I wouldn't like the song Knockers if it was by the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger. I would then tell you that I fucking think it sucks. I might even like it then. But when the Darkness do Knockers, I fucking loved it, you guys. Maybe the song shouldn't have been number 2. I could think of many ways to reorder this album where it would have been better. And another song that's kind of problematic that I have trouble with is track number 3, Is It Just Me? I think it could have been better. That being said, it's kind of a hit song like One Way Ticket, the first song. But I think, the drumming could have been recorded better or something, more cymbals or more impact, There's just something wrong about Is It Just Me? I can't put my finger on it, you guys. But I always listen to that song, and I think it could have been better. And yet, there's something about it that I like, But beginning with track number 4, Dinner Lady Arms, this album gets fucking really good from here on out. The rest of this album, these 7 songs that remain, not only are they really great and really well produced by Roy Thomas Baker, but they are just classic, like 1970s anthems. This album is much more 70s than 80s, you guys. I hear bands like The Sweet, and Free, and ELO, Queen, of course, David Bowie, I even hear like The Who or something, you guys. I hear classic rock. Maybe I even hear like the Bee Gees. I hear melodic, catchy stuff like Genesis or something. Not like that. You know what I mean, you guys. It's good, involved, intricate music. I mean, I think the whole album, the drumming could have been better. The one guy, he's probably the weak link in the band, you guys. But Dinner Lady Arms, what a great song. Awesome. Very ELO-like. I love that song, you guys, and seemed like a good idea at the time. Really underrated little pop ballad, you guys. I'm sure people heard Justin's annoying high-pitched vocals and heavy metal prancing, and they thought it was a little too much. It wasn't quite working as funny as the first album. But these two songs in a row, which would have been side one on a vinyl, to close out side one, let's just put it like that, you guys. Dinner Lady Arms and the ballad seemed like such a good idea at the time. Great song, you guys. Awesome. But side two here, you guys. Track 6, Hazel Eyes. This is where this album gets incredible. What an amazing song Hazel Eyes is. Awesome. It's not even lit up in blue at Wikipedia, you guys, here. Don't ask me how. And of course, Bald. I always think of Frankie Poulin when I think Bald, even though, the song should be about the new guy, the bassist who replaced him. It's just so ironic and funny, you guys. Great song. Really heavy, hard rocking, driving groove, Bald. And Girlfriend is just this silly, like the Status Quo or the Bee Gees, or it's just so silly, and yet it's good and funny. It's awesome. I think it was kind of a mild hit over in the UK, in Britain. It just reminds you of like the Sweet, or Pilot. It's just funny, you guys, or maybe even like Bowie or something. I love Girlfriend. It seems like it's a little too short at 2:33, which makes it, it could have been longer, put it that way. This whole album seems too short, you guys. Like it doesn't have enough music, and yet it still really works. And track number 9, side 2, it would have been side 2, English Country Garden, like Hazel Eyes. A chunky, involved, very busy, awesome song. Very 1970s, Bowie, Queen, The Sweet. Just incredible, awesome, you guys. Maybe like Mott the Hoople or something. Killer. Awesome. Oh, dude, I love English Country Garden. What a song. The best song on the album, maybe, you guys. And Blind Man, seemed like a good idea at the time. Awesome song, you guys. Way to close out the album. I get more than a Queen or David Bowie vibe, but I get, the Bee Gees and, dude, just all good shit all over this album. It's very melodic, atmospheric, well played. It's tight enough, despite the drumming, and it's all good here. It's a very solid album, you guys. One-way ticket to hell and back. And even though it is cheesy, hard rock, heavy metal, and it's a joke band, I loved it, you guys. To me, Clark the Shark, this wasn't a joke at all. This was the real deal back in 2005. And after this, the band would break up and they would disappear for about 7 years. They wouldn't have another album till 2012 with Hotcakes. And kind of like, heavy metal bands did in the 90s, about 1992, 93, that was their version of One-Way Ticket. When bands either replaced the lead singer or just something bad went wrong with the band, like Motley Crue or Iron Maiden. The 90s was not a heavy metal decade, you guys. And sadly, the OOs maybe was meant to be, but the darkness got scared and they ran away in 2006 and they broke up, you guys, very sadly. But they would come back later, and I will review Hotcakes and all those other albums, you guys, where they come back. And when they came back in the thick of things, in the middle of, the Clark the Shark years on the internet and Greenhouse Effect and all my music. And, I'm not really heavy metal, but I'm not really indie or alternative either. I'm kind of like prog or 70s rock and roll or even 60s, and a guy like me can appreciate the darkness, you guys. And certainly especially this incredible second album, this sophomore effort One Way Ticket to Hell and Back. And I want you to buy this album. If you are only 18 years old, you were born in 2005, 4 years after 9/11, when those terrorists flew those planes into the Twin Towers. If you're just 18 and you were born in 2005, 18 years ago, when this album came out, I want you to go buy The Darkness, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back, especially you 18-year-old, or any of you born in this new millennium, you guys, the 2000s. I want you guys to get into The Darkness, go see them live, and buy their MP3s, buy their songs at Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, and support this band, you guys. These guys were going to be the big comeback of heavy metal, and it never really happened, but in a way it did, because it gave bands like Airborne and Dragon Force and others the confidence to try to rock and want to rock, and not just on the underground scene. It gave bands the confidence to try to get on the Billboard charts and get real big. This was the catalyst that did it, you guys. This band, long before this album, One Way Ticket, in 2003, with Permission to Land, it truly was The Darkness who brought back heavy metal, you guys. And they brought back this lame, cheesy 70s, 80s sense of humor that was badly missing, and sadly isn't really that strong today in 2023. But who knows? Someday, some lame, fucking cheesy, gay ass fucking metal band will come around and be the next Motley Crue or the next Poison, or who knows, you guys? It will happen someday. The Darkness tried to be that. They didn't quite get there, but they definitely were like, the rock gods were smiling down on them, and they gave it their best shot. They gave it a try, baby, and they almost damn near succeeded. Now, out there on the concert scene today, The Darkness are still around plugging away, and who knows, maybe one day they will have another One-Way Ticket to Hell and Back, or Permission to Land. I think those recent albums by them have some interesting things going on. Maybe not, high Billboard charts material, you guys, but they are slowly getting there, recapturing it, and I wish them well. No, I don't root for heavy metal, that much, because me, Clark the Shark, I'd love to make it big. And, I'm not really heavy metal. I mean, there's an element to me, my leanings and my lovings of prog rock, but I'm more like cheesy, like Styx or Rush type of heavy metal, or, ELO or all that, or David Bowie. I'm not really Motley Crue or Poison or Guns N' Roses or any of that stuff, but I kind of root for all that too. I would love to see the end of alternative and indie and all that shit, even if it would hurt me, myself, and I, Clark the Shark, and wreck my own music and my own career. Anything to see alternative fade away, you guys, because I, Clark the Shark, am in particular angry at that scene, because it should well know. Come on, Clark the Shark is a guy you invite to the party. You don't neglect him. Rock gods, or whoever you are, Satan or God, or whatever it is that controls this matrix simulation right here in the Sharkulation. Come on, you guys. We all know Clark the Shark controls it all, and you are just my mere subjects. But who knows? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. If I really did control it, The Darkness would be number one, baby, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. And you just got the only review of this sophomore second album by The Darkness. This atmospheric, very melodic, catchy, extremely awesome, intricate, progressive rock album with great little songs all over it. Very clever, very humorous. very, very involved. And it's just unfortunate that more people didn't see this right here on the Clark the Shark show, you guys. But I know you're going to go buy it and love it. And I'm out of here, people. Make sure you do buy this. I'm out. Peace.